Hello, I would like to thank for you everyone for joining today's presentation. Let me introduce myself. I'm Gintaras Application Infrastructure Lead at Also. As probably you noticed from the presentation name, we'll share with you a very interesting business proposition. So good choice, I would say. From the partners, which in IT a cloud business for some years, probably you're noticing some IT trends that more and more customers are moving towards public cloud providers, also called hyperscalers. And the reasons why they are moving can be different, but one of the main reasons why they are choosing hyperscalers is possibility to have consumption usage model. And today we are here with Breno, Senior Vice President from Ormuco, and we will share more detail, and he will share more details about their cutting-edge platform, which can allow you to offer your data center services in the same way as hyperscalers do. Breno, stage is yours.
Thank you, Gintaras. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. Thanks for joining. So yes, my name is Breno Lima, SVP of Strategy, and I represent Ormuco. We are a Canadian software company, and we're founded in 2008 and headquartered in Montreal. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a very interesting launch, and exciting to be actually doing this with Alzo in Europe. We think that this is truly going to transform what the marketplace looks like for both the addressing public cloud requirements and also looking at some of the issues and the big growth opportunities that we see in the market. So let me start there. Let me start speaking about what's happening and what we're seeing in the market. So as Gintaras put, I mean, we have seen a lot of growth in hyperscalers, AWS, Azure, Google. You know, interesting number came out of this quarter, which places AWS now at $50 billion in revenue. Obviously, the pandemic accelerated a lot of that growth, and we see that across the board with AWS being the leader, Azure, and then Google, right? So these are extremely large businesses today, and we start seeing a very strong movement now towards what we're calling repatriation of workloads from the public cloud. Right, and I'll explain what's happening there, but there's users have now, in many cases, achieved the level of maturity from using those services. They've been there for 2, 3, 4 years, and in many cases, the business model is that they get a bunch of service credits for the first year. It's low barrier of entry, as Gintaras put it. It's easy to consume. They don't want to call anybody. Everything is available there. They don't need to know anything really about how to manage the actual infrastructure, and they just come in, consume, put a credit card, and off they go. But then once they've used the service for a while, cost starts becoming a big issue. And we see more and more an opportunity to offer an alternative to AWS, to Azure, and Google because of this repatriation movement that's based on cost, but also things like privacy, which is something that's very, I think, common in Europe and also growing, and obviously the performance factor. As you know, if you're located, a few thousand kilometers from the AWS or the Azure data center, your performance won't be as good as if you were much closer. So that's the first point. The second one is obvious. I think probably all presenters have been talking about this today. This fundamental shift to remote working, where we're going to see, a lot of this shift being permanent, which created a lot of new challenges. And I think these challenges, again, they touch 3 pillars. They touch cost, security, and privacy, as well as performance, as workers now have to look at producing, right, and doing that work from home. And finally, one of the I think the good alternatives that were in place when remote working starting was the promise of VDI once again rising. But we saw some growth in VDI, but I think we've all seen a lot more growth in actually computer sales, physical computer sales, where we're seeing all the warehouses empty because it seems that VDI is expensive. The current incumbents, Citrix, Azure, and so forth, have good solutions, but being at a cost point where it ends up not being worth it for the user to use a service like this, they might as well just buy a physical computer, right? So we're here today to talk to you about this alternative to the hyperscalers and an alternative to virtual desktop providers. So what we're selling with Alzo. I'm going to start with this, platform that allows users to consume infrastructure the same way they consume from Amazon, but addresses the 3 points that I mentioned to you: cost, data privacy and security, as well as performance. And I'm actually going to do a demo of this. Before I do it, just so you understand, Ormuco as a software provider actually doesn't deploy on Amazon, doesn't deploy on VMware. We actually are looking for service providers to provide us with physical capacity in the data center. Okay, so we come in, we look at a market, a country, a city, we select a service provider, we install our platform, and we basically allow for all of these services to be provided at that location. We don't pay any third-party licensing to anybody, so we end up actually offering our services to end users at about 40% below AWS pricing. And why do we call it edge computing? Well, it's close to the users, it's local, but we also allow our users to access the platform from a single pane of glass from all of the locations that we have across the world. So I'm going to now share just a quick demo. So the edge computing platform is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. It's a standardized, automated approach. It doesn't really require any particular engineering effort at the data center from a software perspective. And as you can see here, the virtual resources in this case are deployed in Finland, and you have a number of services available to the users like AWS. When we speak about repatriation of AWS or Azure into a local service, you must deliver the consumption model that AWS delivers. You must deliver APIs. You must deliver equivalent services so that it's not painful to migrate, and it makes sense that they're motivated enough because of that cost saving, the performance, the data privacy to then move in. But it's definitely something that that you can map out here as you see the services catalog. So we offer containers, virtual machines, volumes, block storage, object storage, all of the software-defined networking, auto scaling, database as a service, infrastructure protection, DR as a service, Kubernetes, a marketplace of applications, and a number of other more advanced services such as DevOps, CI/CD, function engine, and file system, as well as workflow. All of the billing is done within the platform with the billing engine on a per hour, per month, per minute basis, so that users can, again, consume the same way that they consume out of the hyperscalers using our platform and local service providers' physical capacity. I'll switch back to now the second announcement that we have today, which is the killer app, right? We've been doing this for a decade now, deploying edge computing locations across the world. as a single platform. So we have an unfair advantage because, again, we don't have to pay Azure, we don't have to pay AWS, we have local physical compute capacity, and we're looking to expand that through more service providers within Europe. But because we don't pay these hyperscalers, we don't pay VMware, we don't pay expensive hardware, then there's a huge cost advantage of delivering that to the end users. So what we've developed as the killer application to this edge computing platform is a decentralized operating system that is an alternative to replace VDI and also eliminate the need to purchase physical computers, okay? So it's faster and cheaper than buying a computer, and it allows users to work with something that is truly unique in the marketplace. Obviously have to show you that platform as well very quickly. So as a decentralized operating system, the user actually, we start at $10 per user. The user has access to any application that they like. It's deployed locally at, our network of service provider data centers. So if I'm in Finland, I'm a user in Finland, then, my decentralized OS is running out of a container and a machine in Finland, close to me, so that latency and performance is not a problem. But as you can see here, you can actually add any application. It's a decentralized OS, so it's not dependent on any single operating system. So the idea is that you can essentially, within the store, within the marketplace, install any application, whether it's a Windows-based, app-based, and Apple-based, or Linux and so forth, and then deploy within your capacity the application. So, very quickly here, so I say I want to install Spotify. I go back to my home page, I click install, and now I have Spotify here as part of my workspace within the decentralized OS. I also have a file manager so that all of my documents and all of the files that are used within all the applications are located in the same place. Again, very safe, very private, but at the same time, giving you performance and a good cost advantage. Okay, just flip back here to the presentation. So now that you know what we're selling, what are we looking to buy? So we are looking for service providers, as the title of the presentation said, that have unused, underserved, underutilized physical capacity within data centers across Europe. We are looking at every country. We are looking at every major city, and we will actually just consume the physical resources, compute resources, and connectivity. Okay. How does it work? We actually have a vendor selection criteria. So we are looking to engage with you, get you to contact us so that we can go through this criteria. But if approved, we do a business model, a cost analysis, and we look at deploying our platform within the physical infrastructure there. It'll allow users within that specific region to consume this decentralized operating system that we offer them. And we are going to be accelerating and scaling these extremely quickly through not just the Alzo Cloud Marketplace and resellers, but also from our own user demand as well. So users are going to buy this from the resellers in the Alzo Cloud Marketplace, based on the physical and the user location as we deploy the edge computing. So we have, obviously, we're not going to need hundreds of service providers in a single city. So we need to obviously follow a qualification criteria, and there will be a number of providers that are going to be selected. And so that takes me really to the next steps is get in touch. I'm going to share my email shortly. And we go through the vendor criteria, we go through the business model and cost analysis, and we see if that is something that can be done with you as a service provider. Gintaras, I will then, now that that's done, open up to questions.
Yes, thank you, Breno. I see we have a couple of questions from the audience. I'll start from, there is a question, how is edge computing different from the cloud computing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, as we look at the evolution of the internet and the evolution of applications, there has to be a better model than cloud computing, which was really invented, 2 decades ago. Edge computing is really what comes next. So you have to look at providing all of the services that the public cloud provides, but in a distributed, decentralized way, so that you're closer to the user, right? And as, again, I mentioned 3 pillars of pain that users have with public cloud today, which is cost, privacy, and security, as well as performance. So that pain needs to be addressed in a new model, which is edge computing. And the way that we do it is we do it from a software perspective. So we've built a software that allows users to scale and applications also to scale in a horizontal way versus in a single data center. So the idea is to provide a platform that allows you to use resources close to the user and scale in a massive way through hundreds, thousands of locations across the world.
Yes, thank you. I think this is, I tried to summarize a couple of questions, but the idea, what they're asking is the same. So how are you able to achieve such a low cost, what you mentioned during the presentation?
Right, so I had mentioned that from the edge computing platform, the services, we basically can provide 40% cost reduction from Azure or AWS to the end users, and believe me, still achieve some very, very healthy margins for us, for the resellers and so forth. But and then on the decentralized operating system, we can deliver at $10 a month. Let's just say now it makes it worth it looking at this versus buying a physical computer. The reason why we can do it this way is because, again, we don't pay software licensing to anybody else. So we've built the full software stack, all of the tools that we need, all of the automation, so that we have very little overhead as well to operate it, based also on things like machine learning and AI. And from a physical infrastructure capacity, so that becomes really our only cost that we then have to get it from service providers. But on a physical infrastructure capacity, we're talking about commodity servers. We don't need fans, right? We don't need expensive hardware. We really just need commodity servers in a data center. So then with our technology, this is actually part of our vendor criteria, where we look at the business analysis and the cost. But in some cases, when we do this analysis, we look at an overall cost to us of about 90% cheaper than what the AWS pricing is. And so I think that the secret sauce is really on the way that things are built and on the software side. So I hope that answers the question. But again, I think costing is a very interesting way to for us to get started with this discussion with the different service providers, is to look at a cost analysis and really prove that and show how the numbers are very interesting.
There was one more question regarding the demo, but I believe that this is the part of the, let's say, the qualifications what we can have a discussion with. So I don't know, you can ask, but there was a question, is it possible on how to get the demo?
Yes, correct. So there's the best way to do that would be to contact me. My email is on the screen, is breno.lima@ormuco.com. We are obviously engaged with Alzo to grow this. So Gintaras and the team will also be helping out. And yeah, I'd say get in touch. Let's book a call to address this in more detail. Look at each market that you're in, and have a closer look at the demo. We, as I said, my call to action right now is from a service provider perspective to get physical capacity to deploy these services very quickly across as many locations as possible in Europe. There is a market that is there demanding these types of services. So I'm happy to talk to you and evaluate whether or not there's a good fit.
Yeah. That was all questions from the audience we had. I would like to thank you, Breno, for the great presentation and everyone for attending. Let's keep in touch to have a discussion around your own particular case. And thank you, and have a good rest of the day.